right. Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome to New Streaming Network, home of Going Solo, Going Bold, WGSNDB, Going Solo Network, #1 podcast. Welcome to your Health Vibes with Elana. I'm your host, Elana, with your host. I'm here to raise your. I can't even talk today. Blah, 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 blah. I was just so excited. My journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to the next level so you can transform your life today. And today, our show is called Real, Raw, and Vulnerable with the one, the only, my dot sister, Tamira Hamilton. Come on!
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Like your energy, you are always so smiley. And like I told you the other day when we were talking about this and planning for this, like you just emit love. Like I love getting those random messages from you with positivity, and I can hear your smile. And some days, like it's right on time, just so you know.
Aw, that makes my heart so happy. I just love our connection. I said too, ever since we met, I just felt such a kindred spirit, and just the love that we have for each other is so beautiful. So thank you for showing up and all that you do. And with that, can you please let the world know who you are? Come on.
Well, first of all, can you hear me okay? Because I got to make sure mic check 1 2 1 2. Okay, good. All right.
Check
So,
one.
right. Old school hip hop, right? So my name is Tamira Hamilton. I am a lifelong resident of Wisconsin. I have 2 adult daughters, going to be 33 and 28 this year. And the love of my life are my 2 grandbabies who will be 11 and 4, a boy and a girl. So I raised my girls as a single mom. I did the whole get your education, get a good job thing. And honestly, the get a good job thing was way overrated for me, right? So I began my entrepreneur journey in 2013, but it probably actually started way before that. Like the seed was planted a lot earlier than that, like when I was a child. And so I always say, like, everyone says like, oh, college isn't for everyone, but you know what? Working for someone else isn't always for everyone either. And so, interestingly enough, I had lost my grandfather in 2012, and that's what really kind of sparked everything for me. And it's just been this whole journey, and it's evolved, and it's just the total person, right? So I am the brand, I am the content, I am the algorithm, I monetize me. The goal is to get paid to exist. There is structure in there, believe me, but that's kind of it in a bag, right? Like I love reading, I love shopping, I love, my number one favorite thing to do is spend time with my family, especially my grandchildren. So I love being out in nature. Hikes. I live just a couple blocks from Lake Michigan, which there's this TikTok that's kind of viral saying, I didn't know Lake Michigan was an ocean. Because it's massive. It's massive. People come here and they see our beaches, or, they see pictures of our beaches and they're really kind of shocked. I just learned that the ones in Chicago, though, were man-made. I didn't know that. But yeah, we've got some beaches here, and I live blocks from a little beach, and I wouldn't dare swim in it, but it's my little happy place. Yeah. And if you follow me on social media, especially in the summer months, you will see me down there, and girl, the sweat is starting.
Oh, the sweat, like, me, as I said, over here, Betty, so I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. I got the window up and everything, but the sweat is starting, so we're gonna cool that down. But yeah, that's me.
I love it, and that's I love you. And also, let's give a shout out to Joe. Joe's watching us today. Hi, Joe. Thank you for watching.
Hey, Joe.
Love you. Thank you, Joe. I love to give out messages.
Yeah.
Also, so I was wondering, do you have any kind of programs or things that you're doing right now that people would love to hear more about that, and then we can get more real, raw, and vulnerable. But I would love the world to know also what you're doing and how they could connect with you.
So right now I am promoting my Luminary Path 6-month intensive. I actually shouldn't be promoting it anymore, but because of life, uh I didn't get to launch it quite the way that I wanted to last month. We had some loss in our family, so that kind of shifted my focus for a little bit. So I'm still promoting that and getting that started. It's a 6-month program. It's for the entrepreneur who is has some business, but it's pretty inconsistent. They need to get a really strong business built and rapidly. So really honing in on the basics, honing in on what they need to do on a day-to-day basis and getting that done. So each month there will be a training, each month there will be a working hours. And for those who pay in full, there are some bonuses in that. So it's the Luminary Path. And if you go to my first name, last name, and then Luminary Path, you can find out more about that. And then I'm also a
Yeah.
wannabe TikTok star. Not really, but
I want to be. She is. Everybody, she is.
you're so cute. And it's really in line with this podcast, right? Because I've really
Yes.
been focusing on your winter arc, right? And it
Mhm.
actually flows into the Luminary Path because it's about your winter arc. Your winter arc, I've always looked at January as a month of reset, right? Because you're
Mhm.
coming out of the holidays kind of like, I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What do I normally do on these days? So it's getting back to your habits, getting back to your foundation. And I always say I don't do resolutions. I tend to focus on a habit or a system for the first 90 days of the
Ooh.
year. And the habit is through the Miracle Journal this year. And I didn't grab it, otherwise I would show it. But the Miracle Journal, which is a manifestation journal, and it's
Mhm.
all about really spending time daily journaling, getting back to your why. Who do you serve? Why do you do it? And what inspires you. I was just talking about this earlier on live, and I said, when I get frustrated, when I get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
it's because
Like.
I'm out of alignment somewhere. And the
Mhm.
Miracle Journal is like a tune up. It's like getting back in alignment, or like going to the chiropractor and getting your back cracked to get back in alignment. And that's what I love about it. So there's these powerful, powerful affirmations in there. And they go through all these different manifestation methods. And the one I've really, it's not that I'm not working on some of the others, but the one that I'm really tuned into this year is the 369 method. So I actually was able to get a sample from the TikTok shop. Yeah. So I got the book, I got the full journal, and I've been
I don't
doing
know
the 369.
if you want to just maybe tell a little blurb of anybody who doesn't know what a 369 is, to a little tease so that they can get to know a little.
369, one more
Right, that's what I'm
time.
saying. I was just
One
gonna
more. Get low. Get
say,
low.
get low, get
Get
low.
low. Get low. I can't help it. I can't help it. I
I
can't
love
help
it. That's why we get a lot. That's exactly what I'm
Okay. So
talking
it is a method of manifestation where you write down your desire, your goal, your affirmation 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the middle of the day, and 9 times. I like to do it right before going to bed, right? And so it's just amplifying what you're working on. And it's a way of taking inspired action and keeping the goal in front of you. And it's just also really habit forming as well, to take that break 3 times a day to really remember again what it's all about, why you're here, and what you're working on. Now there's some science in that behind it. There's definitely science behind writing down what you're
Right.
working on and what your goals are. I always tell the story of how after the birth of my second child, I
Mhm.
wrote actually I was still pregnant with her. I wrote down a little business plan for my little family, right? And
Right.
then like 2 years later, I happened to come across that notebook. I surrendered to it. I completely forgot about it, and everything had
Oh,
been accomplished. So there's definitely power in writing down what you're doing, but then there's also some stuff from Nikola Tesla, and rewiring the neural pathways in your brain, because a lot of what stalls us is self-concept.
Mhm.
You know,
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
totally.
we were talking about it. People who
Yes.
fawn, yeah, like women in particular. One of the
Mhm.
things women struggle with in business, as a coach that I see, is their self concept, and they struggle with receiving payment, with receiving that not only payment but their worth. They feel
Mhm.
like they have to constantly give more and more instead of pricing accordingly. The more people you serve and the more people you help, your price should go up because you're only one person and you only
Right.
get 24/7, 365, and you don't know when your time is going to be called, when it's going to be up. So as you get better at what you do in serving people, your price should go up. It should be more difficult for people to get to you to
Ooh,
protect your own energy and your peace, right?
right.
And what I see.
I really like that concept and to do. And I think that's one of my biggest struggles too, is, I think with price and you don't want to do it because you think
Mhm.
it's not that because you're the extra, you want to give that away, but maybe, thank you for being real and raw and vulnerable of that, because I feel like that is such a big struggle. We don't put our worth out there. We think, oh, it's just this one time why do you think that women are struggling so much with this concept?
Because we've been made to feel that our work is to be of service to everyone, which I
Mhm.
don't disagree with that. But
Right.
we've been made to feel icky about money
Mhm.
because our place is supposed to be in the home and taking care of everybody else, but who's taking care of us? So we've been not created. I take that back, scratch that
Yeah.
completely from the record. We've
Yeah.
been indoctrinated to believe that our worth, our value is in free labor.
Yes, I do agree, and I feel like I've come really far to not give away that free, like, "Oh, I'll just do that," and you feel bad, or, "Oh, they're this," or, we are just as human. We are going through the same thing, and just because you know something doesn't mean that you have to give away everything free because you
Right.
know it, of that and knowing your self-worth. And everybody, you're so good about that. You're so good about showing people that their worth, and that's what I love about you. And let's get real, let's get raw, and let's get vulnerable. What do you think right now is going on? What is one thing that's really been on your mind going on in this universe with media, people, life in general, kind of what
Yeah.
we were about?
Well, as a marketing girly, a real marketing girly, a real marketing strategist, I
He's
get
a
down and
real
dirty in the
deal,
data.
people. Real
Thank
deal.
you. I get down and dirty in the data, right?
Yes.
And I get down and dirty in the trends. What are people searching for? What are people looking for help with? And right now, everybody is stressed. Everybody's nervous systems. I mean, when you look at the roller coaster we've been through since just July of
Mhm.
last year, and it's been happening longer than that. But just since, think about what happened in June and July last year, and it's just been a nonstop roller coaster everywhere. It's been like unleash the Kraken, unleash the Kraken, unleash the Kraken. And it's really beginning to get to people, and people are beginning to seek help because
Mhm.
it's a lot, right? So things like how to stop overthinking. During the holidays, moms were overstimulated from having their kids at home and the mom, mom, mom. So everyone is looking for how to protect their energy, how to protect their peace, how to stay calm in the storm, which I love because there were generations who didn't seek that and they just crash out, they just burn out, right?
Yeah, let me stop you right there for a quick question. Sorry. I love that you say the generation difference and gaps, and
Mhm.
maybe we can expand a little bit on that, because I know, for me, not to call it like my mom's generation, our thoughts are totally different. I love them and do, but it's like sometimes working together, because talking with her friends and seeing how they grew up and how they would deal,
Mhm.
we wouldn't be, doing that. So maybe we could expand a little bit on the generation differences and showing up for it, and kind of compromising of what we're thinking and what they're thinking is totally
Yeah.
worlds.
Well, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Boomers are just different,
Yeah.
okay? They're from the suck it up generation. They're from the we ate lead
Yeah.
generation. They
Walked
are,
girls to school in the snow with our
yeah, they are from the school of struggle is imminent. You have to struggle, and your worth is tied to your struggle, right? They're definitely from that school of thought, and that you have to work hard and you have to struggle, and then you will get your reward. And they are not. This is general. It's a
yeah,
generalization. I own that. It does not apply to everyone. I'm putting that caveat out there, but
listen,
they are not the most emotionally balanced people, but they expect everyone else around them to
yes,
be
yeah, yes,
emotionally balanced and just take whatever they dish out. And then there's Gen X, right? We just kind of don't give. We don't have any to give. We
yeah,
raised ourselves.
yeah.
We were feral. But we also were outnumbered. And that's the one thing I want to stress to millennials and Gen Z. Don't ever get it twisted, honey. Don't think we didn't try to fight. Not all
Right.
of us, but there were definitely those of us who tried to fight. We were just simply outnumbered. In fact,
Mhm.
we were smushed between a very large boomer generation and a very loud and large millennial generation. So it's not that we didn't try. And are there
Right.
Gen X out there who made mistakes? Yeah, but you got to look at where they got their example from. And again, I'm not hating on
No, no,
boomers.
it's not
It's
hated. It's just showing generational difference. If we don't
yeah,
break those patterns and show up and just have that compassion, because that's all this person, like, that's all my mom knew. That's all her mom knew. That's all
right,
hers. And
exactly,
so,
exactly.
however,
And
we
that's
can
where
make
the
it,
compassion comes in.
yeah, but we don't have to be them or be that pattern, you know?
Exactly, exactly. Because we were raised, and this impacted a lot of us Gen X women in corporate. We were raised to be seen and not heard.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? So think
Right.
about times where you think about when you shrink back and you kind of fade to the back and and I remember I dated a guy who always talked about flying under the radar at work and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Why would you fly under the radar?" Right?
Yeah.
So and then you got millennials who were the everybody gets a trophy generation,
Mhm. Yep.
right? The
Right.
helicopter mom generation.
Yeah.
And then there's Gen Z who's pretty rabbit. Like you think Gen X don't have any to give? Gen
Right.
Z does not care. And
Yeah.
Gen Z, they can definitely troll you. They will
Yeah.
troll you. So I try to stay on their good side. But they like this whole TikTok ban is being relooked at right now because Gen Z was like, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all work for us. We don't work for you, right?
Yes.
Like I always said, I was a millennial by proxy. I also feel like I'm a little Gen Z by proxy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
No.
hold wait a minute. Like I finally found my people that I can fight with, that I can push back with, right?
100%.
Because yeah, I was protesting in third grade.
Yeah. That just like makes me like, I feel like too, like, I don't know, for me, I feel like I was just born different, like an alien child, the way I thought, the way, different things like growing up. And I wasn't from like certain generation, different. I feel like I'm an
Mhm.
old soul with a young heart. I was called grandma. I don't feel I really like the boomers, but how, and I
Yeah.
think, like, just like you and I really connect on understanding and showing up of, relating on that way.
And the world needs us aliens, right?
Yes.
They would
Yes.
be so lost.
100%.
Nothing we get accomplished without us being willing to say, I don't care that it's been done that way for 30 years. Why does it have to continue to be done that way right now?
Right.
Right?
And that's why I love this podcast, because we're real raw, like what you said, like, thank you for sharing. You didn't have to put out your program. You said you were going through something. I feel so many times, it's not a shit talk, but these influencers and people, I'm great. Everything's perfect. Buy my program. Money, money, money. Me.
Mhm.
Selfish, selfish, selfish. I don't care what I'm doing. And then when you hear them, I lost this. I don't this. I don't like my husband. I don't like my kids. And my life sucks. And so I just want to maybe kind of talk about like what your thought of that, and like people really showing up authentically. And I think I've been triggered by the fact that I don't feel people are really living in that. And it's not a judgment, but it hurts my soul to see that there's so many vulnerable people out there that need that support. But if we were vulnerable and honest with them, then they know they'd have that real
Right.
authenticity.
Well, I think there's two sides to it. Okay. Number one, I've had to tell people in my own family, like, just because you see me on social media a lot does not mean I'm on social media telling all my business and all my family's business, right?
Yes.
I am
Mhm.
actually a very private
Yeah.
person. I
Mhm.
was friends with someone for a number of years and was having a conversation with her and someone else and shared something about my daughter. And she flat out on the spot lied and said I had told her that. And I didn't, because I didn't trust her with that
Wow.
information. Now, that's her own insecurity of why she felt like she should know that, but nobody is entitled to
Uh-huh.
know
Right.
everything about me. I'm a firm believer in what Brene Brown says, and you share your story with those who've earned the right to hear your story. And it doesn't matter the number of years that you've been friends. You don't own me. I'm not your pet. I'm not your toy. And you are not entitled to every piece of me. You get what I give you. Okay.
Oof.
And by the way, in
Go on.
2025, I am full on embracing my villain era. Full on embracing it. Okay. You get what I give you. Right. And so it's the same thing with social media. I always work with my clients and say, you don't have to share when the wound is still fresh and still
Ooh,
hurts to the touch. You want to wait until it's healing over and you can tell. It doesn't mean yet. I mean, for me personally, no tears. If you're okay with tears, that's fine. But you don't want to share your story with those who have not earned the right. Biblically, it is don't cast your pearls before swine, right? So
yes.
yeah, so you can't just be out here telling everyone all of your business. Now, with that being said, I do believe there are certain things we go through in life that are a test to be part of our testimony to
Mhm.
share and serve and help someone else. But you still get to choose when that timing is right to share those things. Now, I also at the same time, the second part of this is I am not a fan of getting on and pretending like everything is perfect and fine
Yep.
when it is not, right? The
Yeah.
truth always comes out in the end. It always
Yeah.
comes out in the end.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. And that's why I love you. And that's why I said I wanted to do this podcast and talking about it because even today I'm trying to do my whole spiel and I'm like, and I could have been stop the show. It needs to be perfect. No one can see me mess
No.
up. And I was like, excuse my language, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
I
And
don't need to be perfect. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Someone just recently it's like, not everybody's gonna like you, and you have to be okay with that.
you
I
have to
am
be okay
okay
with that.
with
Yeah.
not everyone liking me. So Joe
Yeah.
said, get to know them in a genuine way. 100%, Joe. And that, you are so genuine. So thank you for showing up that way. I just love you.
That perfectionism is like, I just don't like to be around people who everything is about appearance and what other people think because I don't care. I
Yeah.
just truly don't care. Right.
And
Like,
that's so beautiful. Is like, and then is there a thing like who is it? Mel Robbins or something like that. There's a new thing like let them think that. Like
let them
let it
think
so I think that's a new thing that not new thing that it's something that's going around right now that I totally
that.
agree is I think it's so hard and it's taken so long to realize, but let them think that. Not
Mhm.
everybody's gonna like me. Not everybody's, and that's okay. This is
Right.
who I am, and this is how I'm gonna show up. Take it or leave it. If you don't like it,
Take it or
sorry.
leave it.
Yeah, sorry, not
Right. And
sorry.
if you're my friend, I don't need you to explain me to people.
Yes.
I
Ooh,
don't need you to explain me to people because that says you're insecure about something about me and who I am. And if you don't figure that out quickly, then you got to leave out of my circle. You cannot be around me because I am not in my villain era. I am not explaining a damn thing to anybody about
yes.
who I am, what I do, or how I do it. You can take your own insecurities and you can go and heal those and maybe do that instead of trying to save everybody else. Maybe you need to save yourself and go see a therapist and get some help.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think what's so true is, like, we take so many things personally, but it's really a projection of someone else. It's
It's
how they're
completely a
feeling
projection.
how they're feeling about them, and I think,
Mhm.
that's such a big thing right now is learning not to take it personally. That's a hard thing, I'm still learning, we're all still learning and growing on this, but that's a big thing too, not taking it personally because we don't understand someone's projection is really about them, not about us.
And that's why I like doing the work with things like the shadow work journal, the miracle journal, the 369, because once you really work on that internal yourself and you really strengthen the house, you really strengthen the foundation because you really get to know who you are and you get to embrace, okay, these are some things about me that because when you have children, your children are going to illuminate the things about you that you don't like the most. The things that are going to drive you most crazy about your kids are going to be the things where they are most like you.
Do you have any like a little story? I love stories. Would you like to share a story? Like,
I can't think of any now because they've been out of my house long enough, thank God.
maybe not the kids. Is there any other stories of you when you
There's just
realize?
little things that they do that will drive like my oldest is probably the most like me, and she's the one who
That-
drives me the
Yeah,
most crazy
right.
because she is so much like me, and when they're younger and they're like cute and they're looking up at you and they're saying something to you and you're like, oh, okay. Like, oh, all
Yeah,
right, note to self, right?
right. No,
Well, I
I
can
love
tell
that
you this story. They both have gone to school and told their teachers on separate occasions without knowing the other one said it. Like, no, you will listen to me. My mom has a master's degree and she listens to me, and you ain't no better than my mom in so many words, is what they said. So they have voice and they are
too.
not afraid to
They're
use it.
not afraid,
Right.
yes. Well, that's what I feel like my mom's always taught me too. Like, use your voice, like stand up for yourself in the right way. It's all how you communicate, because you could
Hmm.
say it one way and it's not going to get through. You say it another, and it's communicating using that voice and showing up and being real and raw and vulnerable.
Yeah. And
Joe,
that's, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. Oh, I just saw a comment. It just used to saying Gen B was talking about what we were saying earlier. So I think it's definitely
Yeah.
a thing of kind of what we are involving in.
Well, and that's why I like to work in the Shadow Work Journal, the Miracle Journal, in that, because generationally, I was always taught growing up, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, but I was never taught how to say it the right way. I had to figure
Ooh,
that part out on my own.
maybe we can expand on that a little bit. That's really, really powerful with that, because yeah, I think my mom always said how to show up, and she did. She was like this very strong woman who, was like, Elena, you're not going to deal with that, are you? And so I think I've always felt that I want to stand up for people, have that strong, and but sometimes it could be a little overbearing or motherly, like the mama bear of how to do it. But you're right, it's how we learn how to do it. Is, do you teach yourself? Do you learn from
Right.
what it is and how to show up?
Exactly, right? And then, it could be you're saying that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But then the messages I'm receiving from you are brutal and painful. So you got to be what you are telling other people to
Mhm.
be and do as well. That's that misalignment. And somebody like me, I'm gonna catch those, what do I call them? When you're out of sync, when things don't, you're incongruent, when your
Yes.
actions and your words are incongruent, to use that geometry word. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes my parents would say too, actions speak much louder than words.
Hmm.
And what is your play on that?
I don't really pay attention to what people say. I pay attention to what they do. 98%
Mhm.
of the
I
time, I
agree.
pay attention to
Yeah,
what they do,
yeah,
not what
because
they
yeah, you
say.
can just say, you could be like blah blah blah, but then their actions don't show up. So yeah, I'm a firm believer on how you're showing up for someone. As I said, too, right here, real, raw, vulnerable, authentic. Like if you're having a bad day, say, you know what, I can't give to you. I'm at 20%, but I
Right.
can listen. I think so many times we want to overgive and show up and we can't even take care of ourselves. Then we're not authentically being able to be there for ourselves or anybody else.
And I think we're in a season where people have to learn to be what they want other people to be for them, for themselves. I think we're
Mhm.
just in that season. We have to understand that. And I posted a quick video about this on my uh, TikTok and Facebook in the last week. And it's like, um, you have to understand that right now it's going to be difficult for people to hold space for you. It's been difficult for the past 2 years for me to hold space for other
Mhm.
people. Right. And
Right.
I've come to terms with and learned that I tend to be a safe space for people. I tend to be a place where they can go and they can plug in and they can recharge. But when they're recharging, what they don't realize is they're depleting me. And I got to the point where I just didn't have more to give to people, and especially the same person over and over again. It's time for you
Right.
to like learn how to do it and be it for yourself, because guess what? I always have to learn it and figure it out for myself. I don't have anybody that I
Yes.
can really go to and plug
Right.
into and get charged up. And maybe that's by design, because I'm an
You got
introvert.
me,
So
girl.
thank you. But I really do charge on my own, right?
Yeah.
I'm like
Mhm.
a self-driving car, and
Yes.
people have to understand and respect that. And you can't keep intruding on my space to plug into me,
Right.
and then you walk away and you're charged up, and now I'm even more depleted than I started with. Right. And so
Yes.
we're in a season where, like I said, it's just been cataclysmic. It's like the horror movie that just keeps like piling on and piling on and piling on in a sense. And there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of anxiety. And so you,
Mhm.
whoever or you may have thought was your person that you could go to and charge up from, you may not be able to. My cousin, he has had a pastor. He shared his life about, you know, he basically did the eulogy for his niece in
Mm.
December, and he talked about how he used to do drugs, how he sold drugs, and you know, and he named off all the terms that
Yeah.
people who were in that life would know. And now he's a pastor. But you know, we had his niece pass away like the week after December 1st, and like December 8th, I think we had another cousin pass away. So that was boom, too. And we have a very large yet close family. And you know,
Yeah.
he went live and he said, I just can't give the word today because I gotta get me back. I gotta deal with this. I can't serve you until I've taken care of me first. So you gotta, that oxygen mask come down in the plane, you gotta give yourself oxygen before you can
Right.
help someone else. And you just have to understand that it doesn't mean they're a bad person. I think some people think that you being their friend, being their ride or die, it literally means that you ride or die and they get to keep living. And I'm not
Yes.
the one.
Yes. I definitely have been there. Maybe we can expand a little bit more on that. I totally agree. 100%.
Yeah.
You can only give so much. You can only do and show up. And, when it's always you're giving, you're always showing up, you're always doing, you have to kind of check. And I get we're all going through stuff. As I said,
Yeah.
like, you can't always give, but when you're just, they're taking and taking and taking, and there's nothing there, not even how are you, like an acknowledgement. I think we all just
Right.
want to be acknowledged. But, going through all this, you are human too. And you
Right.
do need support and you need, exactly. But being depleted by everybody else's energy because they want that. And then it's your
Right.
turn to be like, oh, well, where am
Right.
I?
When it gets to the point that my frequency, my vibration literally drops because I see a text message from you, a phone call from you, or even see your name or face pop up on engagement in my social media, it's time for me to really take a look at, is this, and there were several friendships that I purged in the latter part of 2024 because they just simply no longer served me. And that is okay. And they actually had been on life support for quite some time. And I finally, I don't know if it's Pluto in Aquarius or what, but I finally said, enough is enough. I'm done. I'm just done. And that's okay because now I feel
Lighter.
mhm,
Yeah. I love that because we live in that fear. We're so afraid to,
mhm,
maybe because you've been friends with someone your whole life, or you think like, oh, this connection or that. But I love how you said, like, no, enough's enough. Like, I
mhm.
think that too, we're so afraid to lose that. We're so afraid of we are living in this fear. But in reality, look at our body, look at our reaction to what you said. When
Yeah.
they cough, how do you
It's,
react? Are
it's
you
the
afraid? Like, what is going on when you see that image?
It's the fear of, it's much like the ending of a intimate or love
Mhm.
interest relationship, marriage, where it's the fear of losing everything that you've invested in having to start over, I think, for
Yes. And then like
a
having the
lot of
repair.
people.
Yeah, when you date someone, you're like, all right, is it the same date night? And what are you gonna have to come out? Then I'm gonna have to
Mhm,
explain myself again. And then I'm gonna have to show them this and then recreate the memories. But
mhm.
you're gonna want to do that because that other person wasn't right. So, I think too, we get this like thought in our head, but what in reality is like we're really fearing ourselves of like not wanting that love, like not thinking to deserve that either. If you're
Yeah.
putting it there.
You're letting your misery, because you're misery, but you'd rather be in misery and
Yes.
commiserate than free
Mhm.
yourself for what is better and
Right.
what is for you. You're holding on to what is not for you, and you will never get what it is for you as long as you continue to commiserate and be miserable. Like when you really stop and look at it that way, why am I choosing to be miserable?
Mhm.
Right? What am I fighting for? I remember that in a relationship. I had to stop and think, like, what am I fighting for? I don't even
Right.
like him. Like,
Yes. I think we've all been there wondering, do we like the person or do we like the idea of having a
yeah,
relationship?
exactly, exactly, and that was the case with one of the friends first. I was like, "You know what? And the more I think about it, I don't like her. I don't
Yeah.
like her."
And that's okay. I
Yeah,
think so many times where I'm like, you got to be friends with everybody and you got to do this. And no, you don't have to. If you don't want to be friends, like why kids get fear because you're forced to hug people. You're forced to do these things when you even know someone or connect. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a hugger. I've always hugged everybody. I want to hug everyone, but you got to give them that choice to do that, not forcing it. And I think when we force it, then we create a whole nother world that's unauthentic. You're not being vulnerable and you're not being raw because you're forced to do something that you're told to do or should do.
Exactly. We had that conversation with my grandson who will be 11 in April. There's a relative who just gets so excited and loves my grandchildren and can't wait to see them. And he's kind of stoic and he would just kind of blow it off and be very reluctant. And I said, I will never tell you have to hug somebody, kiss somebody that you don't want to, but I know she is a safe space for you and she really loves you. So you have to be kind.
Yes. Yeah. It's be kind if you don't want to do it.
How you would want to be treated. And you never know, she could be gone any moment now.
Yeah.
And you'll be left with the guilt of how you were kind of mean to her, kind of a jerk. So
right.
I love my grandson. Everybody knows that is my heart.
I know how much you love. Like,
yes, that is I love both of my grandchildren. Don't get me wrong. And I love them equally, but my grandson was the first and it was just he and I for 6 years. And
you do have that. Like, I love my grandma. She's my bestie. I know we have others, but I always just say, like, you are my bestie. And I
that's my granddaughter. Your bestie.
Yeah.
So, but the truth is, he's getting hormonal. He can be a jerk sometimes.
Right. But see, that's you.
I found that one day. She's like, he's something. I said, he's moody. He's in adolescence. I said, sometimes he's just a jerk.
So exactly, being real because so many times like my grandkids are the best. They never do anything wrong. You're like, that is not true. Stop trying to like prove like make more friends if you're actually honest. Say like my grandson was a little jerk today, and that's okay because
that's just it. It's just a moment.
It's a moment.
99.9% of the time, he is such a loving, sweet, compassionate, just like a really good-hearted person. And yes, I am biased, but it's the absolute truth. But he is also human. We said that at the same time. We are human, right? And I think, to go back to ending friendships and relationships, because I think there's a lot of that has happened in the last 6 months. I think when we sit back and we look at it, some of those relationships were really formed out of a trauma bond.
Yes. I mean, 100%. I think a lot are. And I don't think we understand enough of that. And then oh no, this relationship ended and it's so bad. It's like, no, it's all your trauma showing up together, bonding that, not realizing when to cut off that trauma. Is it really a good relationship? Or are you just trying to, swim up the river?
Right. And for me, it's when you keep calling me, wanting to take up my time to cry and to vent instead of actually taking action and healing yourself. I can only do so much of that. I am not going to be a martyr. I am not going to self-destruct so that you can feel better. That's just not happening. Right.
No, I totally agree with that 100% because it's just showing up and, we want someone real. We want someone to be able to be authentic. And I don't want anybody else who's going to bring me down or not. If you want to work on yourself, great. If not, then you can go on your journey. And here it is. You can love people from afar. I think
you
so many
totally
times
can. You totally can.
That it's like, I love you, I respect you, but I can't have you in my life this way, but I can love you from afar.
From afar, right? I can be grateful for the moments. I can be grateful for the history, but for me, it is just time to move on.
Right. Time to move on, time to show up. So we have a few minutes left. You and I can talk for like the rest of the day. This is just amazing. Is there any other little nuggets, any other little quotes, anything that you want to share with the world and any other way to get a hold of you? But I'm
on all the social medias.
Great.
They're listed there. Awesome. I will also say, again, this isn't about like, I remember somebody famous one time getting on stage, say, yeah, I got to be careful what I say, because last time I said something, somebody went and divorced their husband, and it's like, I did not tell you to go divorce your husband. But the one thing I will say in this season is you really have to focus on you and protecting your peace and your energy. And part of that is avoiding the 48 laws of power. Avoid the unlucky and the unhappy. You have to go where there's light, not where there is dark. And yes, I do believe in Brene Brown. I will sit with you in the dark, but I'm not sitting in the dark for 6 months. I'm not sitting in the dark for 12 months. I'm not, especially if you're not taking any action.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm not. Yeah.
No, 100%. Well, thank you so much for being here. I just want to thank the audience. Thank you for showing up today. We are newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo, Going Bold, and WGSNDB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm Elana with Health Vibes with Elana. We are bi-weekly, 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific, and to begin raising your vibes, heart, body, mind, and soul. That's a mouthful. Once again, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being real, raw, and beautiful.
3-6 time. One more time. Hold up. Wait a minute.
All right. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.